Okay, so this is my role model project, and my role model project is of my grandpa, Shu Pengqiu. So, my grandpa was born in China on April 18th, 1937. Does anybody know what day it is today? Ryan?
April 18th.
It's his 80th birthday today. So, yeah. So, my grandfather's father and mother were both doctors in China. And here's a picture of their wedding. This is my grandfather's father, and this is my grandfather's mother. My grandfather was the youngest of 3 siblings. And here's a picture of the hospital they owned and ran. My grandfather grew up on the top floors, and he saw sick people every single day. Sadly, my grandfather's dad died when he was a really young boy. His dad died from tuberculosis, or it might have been a morphine overdose, because that's how they used to treat it back in the old days. And because my grandfather's father died at such a young age, my grandfather never really grew up with a father. And around the same time, World War II was happening. And Japan invaded China and killed thousands of people, and my grandpa's mom took him and his other siblings all the way out of China to Macau, a Portuguese colony safe from Japan. Japan was on Hitler's side, the Nazis, and they conquered almost all the countries in Asia. And it's weird to think that a giant country like China can be conquered by a tiny little island like Japan, but at the time, China was really weak because they spent all the money on a really beautiful palace. And the soldiers basically had no weapons, and China was getting destroyed. This was the least graphic image I could find, okay, guys?
Please excuse this interruption. There are 7 iPads missing from the iPad card. Can you please bring them back to room 213? Once again, we need the iPads brought back to room 213. Thank you.
But then the Americans bombed Japan and made the war end. So after that, China was controlled by a nationalist party who were very corrupt. And that means, you do everything for money. And people were exhausted of corruption, and they went...
Excuse me?
Yes, hi.
Yes, is Tiffany Fox there?
Yes, she is.
Can she please come down to the office?
Ready to go?
No, Miss Johnson needs to speak with her.
Okay, she's on her way.
Thank you.
After that, it was controlled by a nationalist party that was very corrupt, and people wanted to change. So a guy named Mayo, an extreme communist, came along, and almost everybody liked him. But he said that all rich, religious, and educated people were bad, and he started China's Cultural Revolution. Now, my grandpa was a teacher in university, and he was also a Christian, and many of his relatives ran away from China. So they were basically considered traitors. And people really hated them. They were they were beating them up. They would make them wear dunce hats. They would burn all religious idols. They would riot in the streets. It was a really horrible time in China. His brother, that's him, with his cousins swam out of China. Well, not out of China, but they swam from Canton to Hong Kong. But his cousins drowned. But he survived, though, because he saw a pirate ship, and they took him in, and they brought him to Hong Kong in exchange for his wedding ring. And I met him. That's really cool. But my grandpa did not leave, and because of that, and he was writing to his brother, and because his brother was considered a traitor, and he was a university teacher, and he was a Christian, the government decided to bring him to a trial for his crimes of being a counter-revolutionary. And this was my grandpa near the times of the Cultural Revolution, and this is what a trial would usually look like. A bunch of people, and So they sent him to a prison for 1 year. It was basically a room with no contact from anyone. It was just one room, and people would come and beat him every night. His family didn't even know if he was dead or alive. And after that year, he was sent to 5 years camp. And the labor camp was not like, I know some of you guys read Holes, not like in the camp Holes when they give you a shower and give you free food and they let you sleep in the tent. And stuff. No, what they would do is they would not give you any food, they would starve you, they would beat you. It was they would make you work all day. It was really, really, really bad camp. And this is what a labor camp would look like. They would make you work all day, and they had like a lot of people here. So, another thing that happened during his time in labor. Oh wait, I skipped the page. So another thing that happened during labor camp was he saved someone. What happened was the person was trying to hang himself. So my grandpa cut the rope and saved his life. But I have more to say about this person later on. And another thing that happened during this time was in labor camp, his wife, my grandma, had her first baby. Her baby was a healthy boy, but a few days later, because all the real doctors were in camp, and he was a son of a counter-revolutionary, they gave him the wrong injection in the wrong place for a vaccine, and he died. And it was a really hard time in my grandpa's life. So my grandpa did a lot of cool things before I went to labor camp. First, he finished university and started working in the Department of Biochemistry of Beijing Medical University. He developed this thing called the gas liquid chromatography, and this is a sample of how it works. And it separates molecules into different spectrums. This is an example. But none of that stuff really mattered because he was put into labor camp. And 6 years after that, the Cultural Revolution ended because there was no real doctors, and everybody was sick and they were dying, and there was a lot of basically it was hell on earth. So he went back to teaching, and 5 years after he was released, he and my grandma had their second child, Julie, in 1973. Or her real name, Leanne. This is my mom when she was a little kid. So, in the 1970s, Pierre Trudeau, this guy, Justin Trudeau's father, made this cool thing. He let family from China come to Canada under the Family Reunification Program in 1977. And because my grandpa's family had 2 PhDs, my grandpa had 2. My grandma and my mother came to Canada, and they became citizens of Canada. After they had their third child, Sam, in 1976, and he has the same watch as Brandon. That's when he was a kid. In Canada, my grandpa was allowed to live his life the way he wanted. He attended to church every week, and sometimes even 3 times a week. He was nice to every immigrant that came into his life, and he would show them around the city, he would find the car for them, a job, he would show them where the church was. He was also really nice to the poor. Every Sunday at church, he would make food for them. This is him during a baptism. Now, his job in Canada was a scientist, as you can see, or more specifically, a biochemist. He wrote a lot of research papers, and even made a special machine with Hewlett-Packard to detect diseases. This is a weird 80 machine for detecting disease that he made through gas liquid chromatography, which he was a specialist at. And every year for many years, the wife of the man he saved in labor camp came to visit him and thank him. And he had many happy years and retired. Okay, so why I chose my grandpa? I chose him because he's so nice to everyone, and he does so many kind things. He never complains. He's so grateful for what he has right now. He helps immigrants find houses. He volunteers at church community centers. He helped Ottawa make Chinatown's gate. Oh wait, dang it! It keeps on. Okay. He helped Ottawa make Chinatown's gateway, and his handprints are in the cement, as you can see. This is the Ottawa Chinatown gateway. He also brings Chinese and Muslim students together at the Carleton University, and even volunteers at youth centers to teach kids how to play table tennis, which he's really good at. I remember when we were on the cruise, he beat everybody. He was really good. And you would think after all the bad things he's been through, after having no father, seeing sick people when he was young, being sent to labor camp for 6 years and having his first child die, he would be a grumpy old 80 years old man yelling at people like, "Hey, get off my lawn!" But no, when you're like, he never complains, he's really nice. And he's been through so much, and look how happy his life is. And not only is he kind, he was successful in a lot of ways. He has 2 PhDs, one in biochemistry and one in microbiology. And you know, he's smart, successful, and kind, and that's why he's my role model. This is a picture of him with Justin Trudeau. And this is a picture of him with me when we were at a buffet. And, yeah.